Hello friends, I Forum Patel would like to welcome you all to the sixth video of the interpretation of the statutes. So friends, in all the previous 5 videos, we looked into the meaning of the interpretation, the meaning of the construction, the difference between them, then the operations, the repeal, the commencement of any of the statutes. Along with that, we discussed certain tools that has been used by the judiciary in the interpretations. These rules are known as the rules of the interpretations, the primary and the secondary. Under the primary rule, we discussed the literal rule or rather the plain meaning rule, the mischief rule and the golden rule. Now comes the number of the harmonious construction rule. So friends, if you want to understand the basic meaning of the harmonious construction rule, you must break the words as I always say and understand the meaning. Harmonious construction rule. That would imply that when there is any conflict between more than two statutes or legislations in its application, then this rule or rather this conflict needs to be resolved. So to resolve such conflicts, the harmonious construction rule needs to be made applicable. Harmoniously, if you are constructing any of the interpretations, then it is said that you are applying the harmonious construction interpretation of the rules. That means when you are trying to overcome this kind of problem or rather this kind of effect or rather this kind of conflict, then you are trying to give justifications to both the legislations, to both the statutes in its best possible way, and you are trying to incorporate both the laws at the same time and come up with a completely new answer. That is what the harmonious construction rule is all about. Let's have a look. So friends, as you can see on the screen, according to this rule of the interpretations, when two or more provisions of the same statute are repugnant to each other, then in such a situation, the court, if possibly, will try to construct the provision or rather to create harmony between those two conflicting statutes. The question that the two provisions of the same statute are overlapping or rather mutually exclusively may be difficult to determine. That is the main difficulty when you are applying the harmonious construction rule. The legislation clarifies its intention through the words which has been used in the provisions of the statutes. So here the basic principle of the harmonious construction is that the legislation could not have tried to contradict itself. In that case, the interpretation of the constitution or rather the rule of the harmonious construction is made applicable quite a lot of times than you expect or rather than you understand. When you are applying the harmonious construction rule, it becomes very important for everybody to understand that when such conflict has arisen in the same statute, the intentions of the framers must not be that by one provision it will give you one right and by the other provision it infringes the same right. So there is of course an ambiguity in the application and understanding of the statutes or rather the provisions of a statute. So the jurists, they try to interpret those statutes in a rightful correct manner. They try to interpret those two provisions at the same time and they try to harmoniously construct something very new, something very innovative and something very applicable in its own manner in the cases. That is what you call the harmonious construction rule. The court, according to Ishwari Khaitan Sugar Mills versus State of Uttar Pradesh, the court tried to separate the powers which were there in conflict when you are applying or whether when you are interpreting the act, which is the UP Sugar Undertaking Acquisition Act of 1971. So there was a conflict between the authorities of application of the powers or rather having the powers, acquiring the powers. So the court tried to justify and separate the powers by application of the harmonious construction rules. So friends, as you can see that there were disadvantages and advantages of all the above rules. But harmonious construction rule should not rather have any disadvantage or advantage. Why? Because the jurist needs to adopt a very unique approach when it is applying this kind of rules, and that is the reason harmonious construction name itself has been given to this interpretation rule. So we must keep in mind that these rules, the literal rule, the golden rule, mischief rule and harmonious construction rules, are the primary rules that the court, or rather that any judge, would adopt when they are giving the judgments, or rather when they are doing the justice in a very fair manner. These are the tools that any of the jurists would adopt while making the while interpretation of any of the statutes. When there is any help which is needed, then these tools will be helpful. Along with the primary rules, my friends, there are secondary rules also which are there at the hand with the code. Now, what are the secondary rules? If you know, my friends, that the secondary rules are also known as the language rules. So this question must be there in our mind, that why the secondary rules are known as the language rules. The secondary rules provides a help, or rather they are the tools which help the judges to clear the ambiguity which has been there in existence because of the language of the statute. The term's definition or application is not there in the question according to the second rule. The secondary rules should be made applicable when there is ambiguity in the language of the statute. And so to overcome all those linguistic problems, the judiciary adopts the secondary rule approach, and there are three different kinds of the rules under the secondary rules. As you can see on the screen, while the courts uses the traditional rules, they rely heavily on the number of the rules of the language to assist the judges in their decisions. The rules of the language which are there in the form of the Latin words, they are, as I pronounced earlier, nociter, a socis, adjustem generis, and redendo singula singulis. So friends, let's get started with understanding of all these three rules. So friends, the first rule is adjustem generis. Now under this rule of the language, it is a part of the contextual approach. It refers to the words pertaining to a category or the same class of the things. Other animals or other things are meaningless by themselves but can be simplified by reference to any other specific words. That means that if I am using the word cats and dogs along with other animals, then it will be implied that other animals other than cats and dogs would exclude the wild animals. So that is where the interpretation, or rather the linguistic interpretations, becomes very important by the judiciary. In one of the cases of the Powell versus Kempton Park resources, where it is an offense to use a house, office, room or other places for betting, the defendant argued that he operates an outside place and not any office, house or room. The court held that the other place had to refer to the indoor places because of the list of the words that has been given in the statute. Now friends, you see, the list that has been given is office, house or room. So that means the court stated that all these places names are indoors. So if the person is using any outside places to do that business which is restricted by the law, then that person cannot be, or rather should not be, held liable for the same thing. So he had this beautiful interpretation in the case, and that means, my friends, that the use of the words has to be, or rather the interpretation of the meaning of the words has to be taken into consideration while looking into every other words that has been used in the statute, or rather in that particular line. This is a Latin word, okay. The adjustem generis, it means of the same genus. So it means that it is of the same narrower applicable subject matter. So the subject matter has to be taken into consideration in a very narrower sense. You cannot adopt a very wider sense of the application when you are applying the adjustem generis rule. Now there comes a questions with regard to application of this rule, that when this rule can be made applicable. So of course under the UP State Electricity Board versus Hari Krishna Shankar in 1979, the court has given certain guidelines with regard to application of these rules. So there are basically 5 guidelines. The first is that the statute contains an enormous or enumeration of the specific usage of the words. The second is that the subject of the enumeration constitute a class or a particular category. As we saw in this case, cats and dogs, they together they create a class, they create a category. The third rule is that the class or category is not exhausted by such enumeration. The general term is present at the end of the enumeration, that is the animals, and there is no indication of a different legislative intention. So friends, whenever the court is even adopting the linguistic rules, they should not, or rather they must not forget the intentions of the legislations. So when they are interpreting, they have to take into consideration the language that has been used, the words that has been used, rather the narrower meaning of the words that has to be used, and also the intentions. Now there is one inclusion of another principle when we are talking about the adjusdem generis rules, my friends. That rule, or that principle is known as the rank principle. The rank principle means that where a string of the items of a certain rank has been given, you cannot have any other higher ranked level or lower ranked level while you are interpreting the same thing. For an example, the phrase tradesman, artificial, workman, laborer, or any person whatsoever, it was held that it does not include a person above the rank of that class that has been specified. So the language has to be taken into consideration, or it has to be interpreted in the exact meaning according to the rule of the adjusdem generis. So my friends, if you are understanding the adjusdem generis rule, you can definitely identify that this is one of the exceptions to the rule of the constructions. That means you cannot conclude anything by your own. Why? Because the construction needs to be done according to the intentions of the statute and the linguistic words that has been used in that particular statute, which would create a particular genre or a particular class or a category. So this was the principle of the adjusdem generis. Friends, in the next video we shall be looking into the other two secondary rules or the linguistic rules of the interpretation of the statutes. Till then, keep learning. Bye bye.